thing is habitat. One of the things, rhinos need a lot of land, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing when they've got it, and that because you've got parks boards that have got properties and things, but you've got a lot of private owners, and the private owners who are having to pay a whole lot more for security now because they've got to try and protect their rhino, they're divesting their animals off. While we've got rhino and elephant, they're an umbrella species, so you've got all of this huge, they need a huge amount of land, but underneath these big animals have all the little stuff, the leopards, the wild dog, all the other animals. So they're an umbrella species, so habitat's really important, and any way to expand it is fantastic. So there's some kind of tribal land is another project we do. Now that's community-owned land, so it's a bit like the Waitangi Tribunal. The land's been given back after apartheid's ended. The Gumbi tribes come back together they've been split all over Africa for the last 60 years. They've come back now and they're taking over their land. Part of the land was a game reserve, and the Sonkanda tribe, led by Nkosi Gumbi, is running 16,000 hectares as a game park. So we're just trying to keep that, we're working with him to help provide support to help them keep that as a game park, and if we can have it working and if they can get it profitable and make money out of it, then other communities will follow, and then we could have the ideal, which would be a contiguous area right away up Africa for all of the giraffes and the rhino and the elephants to roam. So that's the idea in the long term. So getting on to the rally. So you've heard about all the problems there and what we're doing about it. We wanted to tell you about what we want to offer you guys to help, so that you can help us. So we want to create the whole idea of the rally. I went on the Foot Rally this year, which is a rally that started in Cape Town, and we're supposed to go up through much of this route and up into Malawi and then down to Mozambique. We did it in a 1973 combi van, so it was quite an interesting trip. And the point of the exercise is, one, to do good within the area, but two, to prove that you can drive in this area in a two-wheel drive vehicle. We proved that fine, but it was quite slow in a beat-up combi. But the experiences I had on that trip were phenomenal. I've been to a lot of Africa, but I've never been to Etosha. I've never been to Chobe. There's two areas that I desperately want to go to. And the other one is the Kalahari. So I've now been to Etosha, and I couldn't believe the beauty. I couldn't believe the raw, untamed. It's like as it was. In fact, Etosha reminded me. I said to the guys in the train, if it's true that the Americans didn't land on the moon and that the whole landing on the moon was a big hoax, this is where it happened. It looks like a moonscape, and you've got wild animals going throughout it. It's a tremendous area. So what we're offering on the tour is a four-wheel drive experience, a little bit more upmarket than camping, but not a lot higher upmarket than camping. You don't have to put your tents up, you just flip them up each day. They're, in fact, you used one of these vehicles just recently, and they're very quick to pop up, aren't they? You enjoyed the experience in the vehicle?
Our vehicles?
Yeah.
We actually weren't that upmarket. We actually had the tents to get to the...
Oh, okay, I thought you had them on the roof. Oh no, sorry, it was Mike that had them on the roof. Yeah, sorry, yeah. You enjoyed the experience with the...
Yeah, it's great. Yes. We had Land Rover, two tents on the roof.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We had a few people on our trip with them, and in our VW combi, we were very envious of these guys, I could tell you. Very well kitted out. They're fantastic. They've got fridge freezer in them. They've got little tables. They've got braais, everything you need to be self-sufficient. And it all comes with, you just pick it up. So a typical day on our tour, we're going to meet in Windhoek, and a typical day was we'll give you a briefing sheet of what's going to happen through the day. We'll drive during the day, and we'll typically drive in groups. We're looking for 20 cars, between 10 and 20 cars. You wouldn't want to even have 10 cars together in a group, maybe 2, 3, you form small groups and maybe change them each day. But stay in a small group, and then visit. So the first day, for instance, will be, I think it's 430 kilometres, and the roads you can travel are 100, 120. The fast cars were doing 140 on these roads. They're beautiful roads through Namibia. But it's worth stopping and spending time in these little villages along the way, stopping meeting the people. It's not a race, it's about the experience of getting there. So the first night we'll be heading into camp by about 3:30 at night, and you'll be on your briefing sheet. You'll be given the route you'll be taking, where we're headed to. You'll be told where the bottle stores are. If you want to get any refreshments for the evening, or if we need food, you'll be told where safe butcher shops and supermarkets are, because not every place is an ideal place to buy your meat, for instance. So we're going to be scoping out where you'll go and get that. We're telling you how to get your cell phone coverage, where to get your SIM cards and things, and we'll be all jacked up like that. So we'll be getting into camp, and a tradition in Africa is sundowners. So we'll try and always be in camp for sundowners. So when the sun comes down, the drinks come out, and you celebrate that you've got through to the end of another day. And the sunsets are spectacular. Not as spectacular as that. So each night after we'll arrive in camp before it gets dark, and then we'll cook our dinner, and there'll be a communal braais going that you can come and pop your meat or your vegetarian dishes onto, and then we can then at 8 o'clock or 7:30 each night we'll work out what timing works. We're going to have a local person come in and speak to you, and we've got some fantastic people lined up that'll come in and tell you about the local area, give you some history, give you some of the things that you'll never learn from anyone who's not a local, and tell you a bit about the next day, because the next day we're going to go into Etosha, which is one of the great game parks of the world, and it's a unique place. I've got a couple of slides of pictures that we took while we were there. Well, this is a road up. We stopped for sundowners, and a couple of locals came over and had a wee chat. But this is in Etosha itself. This is on the pan. So Etosha, a pan is a place where the water comes, but it doesn't run away. So it's like an inland lake, and it dries up in the winter, and then it fills up with rain in the summer. So this is dry at the moment because we'll be there in the winter. So it's a great time to be there because you don't get your vehicle stuck. The temperatures aren't unrealistically hot, and you see the wildlife easily because it's coming to the water holes to drink. So you don't have to go hunting for it all over the place. So it's a really ideal time to go. This pan that we're standing out on is bigger than Wales. To give you an idea of the scope of what you're looking at. It just goes on for as far as the eye can see in every direction. And the sky is beautiful like that. When you walk out there on your own, I'd urge you all to go out there, walk on your own, so you can't see anybody else, and just get the feeling around. It's quite a moving thing. It's quite okay to walk out there because there's no animals out on the pan, and it's well, you do it well away from a water hole, and you're very safe. This is a typical. Don't walk too far from your vehicle on your own. This was a stop on the way into Etosha, I think, the day we arrived. We were killing a bit of time, so you pop in and just meet up with some people that are on the same tour that you're on. Great social event. We've got people there having cups of tea and rusks, and we've got people there having champagne at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we've got people having beers. So I was having a cup of coffee, of course. But yeah, that's us to the right. There's our Lulu. The rhino cars, the rhino front and back. So yeah, very social, and this is where you really have a lot of spending time on the side of the road, just meeting people and talking about what you've experienced. Because the last 100 kilometres that we would have driven, we'd have all had different experiences on, and it's quite a fantastic place. Good to share it. This is the typical landscape. See the white pumicey type rocks and things, and the elephants are grey. The elephants they're almost white. This probably not showing it as well as it should be. They almost look like they're white. They look like ghost elephants, but that's just the terrain that they're in, what they're rolling in. And they love getting to the water and just at a water hole, just spending time watching the elephants drinking and getting up to mischief. They blow the water all over their heads, and they blow it over each other and kick sand at each other and flick sand. So they like to put water on their back, then put sand on their back, so cakes on it, and then when it breaks off, it takes the ticks with it. So you see all this sort of stuff happening. And you'll get told about that at the briefings the night before, the sort of things to watch for. This is another landscape here. And I've got quite a few species. We've got roan, a zebra, a springbok, ostriches, more springbok. Often there's a giraffe around as well. Another just endless landscape. So that's that part there. We're going to spend 2 days in there. So we'll arrive there. We'll have a morning there, a day there, and so typically you're up early in the morning to get the game because the game's more active in the morning and the evening, and then come back and maybe into camp and maybe chill or just go somewhere on the side of the road, pop your tents up, have we sleep somewhere in one of the little rest areas, and then come back in the afternoon, and then sundown is in the next camp, and then another night time we'll have another expert for you. So we leave the Etosha, so we'll drive back through Etosha, past the Pan, and then we'll come back out. Then we take this trip here up into Ngepi. This is a very, very rural part. This is probably as rural as we'll get. It's all sorts of trading routes that have gone on here over the centuries. There's a lot of history, and we'll have someone that tells you about, the day we leave here, we'll have someone telling you about the history of this area because it's hugely interesting. All different sorts of the Germans colonised Namibia for a long time, so there's a lot of German influence here. It's gone back to rule by the locals now, and this is probably the least affected German part. This is the most affected German part. Windhoek is very German architecture. But through in here, this is going to be a good trek. We'll be foot to the floor a bit on this day and getting into camp because we're going to the Caprivi Strip, which is one giant game reserve. So you'll see game on the road all through here, but over here you'll really see game. We don't want to be driving on the road at night, so we won't be letting anyone drive on the road at night. And to make sure we're going to try not to be invasive on it, but we're going to have somebody waiting for you in camp. So we check people off when they come in. We're going to have a sweeper behind, just make sure that you're making the time, that you're not. So if you go off the main roads that we've given you, then you need to let us know, and we'll just be pushing you through. So make sure you don't be driving on the roads at night because you can't see an elephant in the dark, and if you're travelling along at speed and hit an elephant, that's a real mess. So one thing we'll be trying to insist on is no night driving. And we stay in this beautiful camp here called Ngepi, and it's one of the nicest camps in Africa, and it's on the banks of the Kavango River. It's eclectic. They're very, very left-wing, I guess you'd say. They're very, very environmentally conscious, but they have a lot of fun. Like, this is the first chance to use your four-wheel drive because they've got it two ways into camp. There's a two-wheel drive, and the other one's a four-wheel drive, so you'll all have to go on a four-wheel drive, put your cars in four-wheel drive, learn how to drive on sand and get into camp, so it'll be a bit of fun getting in there. And you can practice the next day if you want to have some more practice because we'll need those skills when we get into Chobe.